welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Appreciate your patience here this morning where sports truly meets that thing called life. Happy to be here with you every Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And we are here today on this broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora to speak with you on a bunch of different things inside of the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They are open Monday through Saturday for sales and service. You can get in touch with them by going to greatlakeshondacity.com. Their number for sales and their number for service are both on their website, so you can check that out here this morning. And you can obviously check out their new and used vehicle inventory so that you can find out what you would like to be taken home. Is it the Passport? Is it the Pilot, the Odyssey, the Civic, the Accord, the HRV, the CRV, the Ridgeline, and more? All you got to do is go to greatlakeshondacity.com, check it out, and then head over to 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard and let them know that DT sent you their way. And I appreciate it so very much. I've trusted them for over a decade with my vehicles and what I'm bringing home and what I'm driving around Central and Upstate New York and beyond. So I want to thank Great Lakes Honda City for all the work that they do. I want to thank them for keeping me safe. With that being said, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Plenty coming up on today's broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We're going to start the show off with conversation on the Syracuse Orange that are in the NFL draft for 2025. We'll be speaking on those prospects that are trying to find their way onto a roster of one of the 32 NFL franchises. So we'll get into that this morning, and we will go from there into my newest Bearcat Breakroom, which will be in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Binghamton University Bearcats. And this will be featuring Nick Zieziula, the head coach of the Binghamton Bearcats men's tennis program, who now has back-to-back championships in the NEC, winning an NEC title in their 2 seasons in the NEC. They've won a title both times and punched their ticket to the NCAA tournament. And so we will be sharing that with Nick Zieziula at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and we'll round out the show with the ingredients to success, as we always do on a Tuesday, proudly presented by Avicolli's. Today's topic, when two become one. What a beautiful thing. So with that being said, I want to thank you for tuning in with us on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe. So, speaking about the Syracuse players in the NFL draft, there are plenty of them. They are on your screen right now. So many players that are in the NFL draft for this cycle. And of course, taking a look at this, Jackson Meeks, Kyle McCord, LaQuint Allen Jr., Aranda Gadsden II, Fadil Diggs, as well as Marlowe Wax Jr., Justin Barron, and the list goes on and on, folks. A lot of guys, Josh Alawa, a lot of guys here in the NFL draft for this season. And the draft is April 24th to the 26th. We are here on April 22nd. We are just 2 days away. And thank you to Kevin for the positivity. And good morning from Denver, Colorado, which we can now add to our list. Denver, Colorado, another place that is watching and listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So thank you to Denver. So yes, today the NFL draft is just 2 days away. And you know that when it comes to the draft, I always go in on the draft. I always give you my thoughts, give you my picks and whatnot. So I'm very excited about the draft this year and very much looking forward to this NFL draft. And I'm going to say it, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it again, and then I'll say it again. Kyle McCord, in my opinion, arguably the best quarterback in this 2025 NFL draft. The hype is with Cam Ward, who he beat head-to-head. The hype is with Cam Ward, who he had more passing yards than this season. The hype is with Shedeur Sanders, who he had more passing yards than this season. So the reality of it all to me is, you hear about the hype and you hear about, well, this guy's this and this guy's that and this guy's going to do this and this guy's going to do that. But the reality of it all is when you are actually paying attention to what's going on out there, Kyle McCord did a lot of special things this season. He doesn't get the credit that he deserves, that he's earned, I should say, more than deserves, that he's earned for this. But Kyle McCord has gone out and done a tremendous job. And coming off of this season, you have to think about what he's accomplished. Kyle McCord, more passing yards than everyone in the nation, more than Jackson Dart, more than Riley Leonard, more than Will Howard, more than Shedeur Sanders, more than Cam Ward, more than anyone else in the nation. Yet we sit here and don't really hear about him nationally. There might be some thoughts, there might be some moments, but they're usually spent on the players that they've been promoting since the beginning. And that's something that's frustrating to me, but I talk to you about it all the time. It's narratives, things that were created at the beginning of the season that are perpetuated throughout time. Narratives. That's what we hear. Narratives. Something that they don't want to let go of because the media creates, and they'll say, well, Dan, you're a part of the media too. You know and I know, if you've watched and listened to this show, that I am far from the media that is in the majority. Okay? I'm going to tell you stories that I believe. I'm going to tell you things that I believe in. I'm going to tell you things that I feel like I can back up. I'm not going to say something at the beginning of the year and then when it doesn't come to fruition, continue to perpetuate that if it doesn't really make sense. And in the case of Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, this is something that we've heard over and over and over and over again because it's been perpetuated by the media. The media cannot let go of the fact that these are the two guys that they picked at the beginning of the season. Well, I should say they picked Cam Ward at the beginning of the season. But Shedeur Sanders being the son of Deion Sanders, it's easy for them to pick him too. And again, people ask why. Why are we talking about this so much? Because of the fact that it was started at the beginning of the season. It was started at the beginning of the season. And so it just goes and it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes. Instead of somebody saying, you know what, Kyle McCord really stepped his game up and he passed a lot of these guys, they just hang on to the guys. This is how the season ended. Kyle McCord, number 1 in the nation. There's 134 FBS Division 1A schools. 134 schools that can play for the college football playoff. Kyle McCord at the top of all of these schools, 4,779 passing yards. Behind him with less than, so from first place to second place, Kyle McCord to Cam Ward, the distance is more than 400 passing yards. Kyle McCord, 4,779. The closest to him, Cam Ward of Miami, 4,313. Then Jackson Dart, 4,279. Then Shedeur Sanders, who is more than 600 yards less than Kyle McCord, 4,134. Then Garrett Nussmeier of LSU, 4,052. Then Will Howard, 4,010. Then Josh Hoover of TCU, 3,949. Then Dylan Gabriel of Oregon, 4,857. Then Chandler Morris of North Texas, 4,774. Then Cade Klubnik of Clemson, 4,639. And on and on and on. Rocco Becht of Iowa State, 3,505. Seth Hennigan of Memphis, 3,502. Carson Beck of Georgia, now Miami, 3,485. Quinn Ewers of Texas, 3,472. Drew Aller of Penn State is 17th in the country, 3,327. And on and on and on. Tyler Shugg, who's in the draft of Louisville, he's 20th, 3,154. Or 3,195, pardon me. Taylor Green is 3,154. So that's where we're at in the nation. The nation. Kyle McCord, number 1. Kyle McCord in touchdowns passed, he's in the top 5 with 34. Cam Ward has 39. Interception-wise, Kyle McCord is in the top with 12. The most interceptions thrown, Joey Aguilar, 14. And then Kyle McCord's thrown 12. And I think Cam Ward had thrown 7. So that's some other numbers to talk about here. Completion. How about completion percentage? Let's look at completion percentage. I'm not going to look at those that threw like 2 passes that were 100%. But let's look at completion percentage, shall we? So I'm going down the list here and taking a look at where everybody's at, because there's some quarterbacks that only threw a few passes, so they go to the top of the list. I wish this would be like certain amount of passes thrown, so you don't have to go through the whole thing. But we'll take a look at this right now. Cam Ward, 67.2% completion percentage. Okay. So we'll give him some credit there. Give him credit where credit's due, 67.2. Kyle McCord, 66%. 1.2% less than Cam Ward. 1.2% less. So when you look at the grand scheme of things, why we're not talking about Kyle McCord doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But again, the media wants to talk about what the media chose at the beginning of the season because the media can't be wrong. They don't want to be wrong. So they're going to continue to push what they said at the beginning of the year, instead of admitting the fact that some guys have stepped it up. Will Howard's done some good things. Riley Leonard did some good things, but you don't want to talk about that. Jackson Dart, not a household name. Maybe people know him more now. Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord leaves Ohio State, leaves a team that makes it to the college football playoff, goes to Syracuse, aids them to 10 wins, and has proven if you give him time, he will make you pay. But we don't talk about him enough. So Kyle McCord, in my opinion, pocket passer with the ability to scramble a little bit, run a little bit, pocket passing guy that if you give enough time to, you get him the right offensive line, he's going to pick you apart. Now, I don't think Shedeur Sanders is the way to go. That's just my gut. That's my belief. Cam Ward could do some good things, but I don't feel as settled about that either. If you go and you get Kyle McCord, a first-round quarterback in the second, third round, you're going to get a steal. And when you get that steal, you're going to get a guy that you don't have to pay a lot for. You're going to put him on your team. He's going to fight for a starting job, and he may become a starter on your team sooner than later. You know what teams should be looking at a quarterback? Miami, because Tua's there, but Tua doesn't stay healthy. God willing, he will, but he hasn't been. So Tua is a guy to look. That's a place to look, Miami. The New York Jets are a place to look, but I know they have Justin Fields now. So Miami is probably a better fit, speaking of Kyle McCord. Another team that can look at bringing in a quarterback, the Cleveland Browns, who have been all over the place. The Cleveland Browns could be looking for one, but that could actually affect Kyle in a bad way because that team's been in a bad way. The Pittsburgh Steelers can be looking for a quarterback right now. Outside of that, I don't really want him to go to the Colts because I know they're going to try out this Anthony Richardson thing, but it may work, it may not. The Tennessee Titans, they've been all over the place. They need a quarterback. Then I look at the Las Vegas Raiders. They need somebody to come in. They had, 3 guys last year that started? The Dallas Cowboys need to figure out what they're going to do with Dak. The New York Giants need a quarterback, but they've needed an offensive line for 117 years. Then you look at some of these other teams, I would say, are in a good place. Atlanta made their move. Carolina, they recycle quarterbacks like underpants, so I don't think he should go there. The Saints need to figure out their quarterback situation. The Cardinals, in the not-too-distant future, may have to figure out their quarterback situation. But I think the best fit for Kyle McCord, probably the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, the Raiders, the Giants, those are teams he could go to, but probably the best fit, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Kyle McCord, again, because of preseason narratives, and that's where people need to call BS. When you're told something at the beginning of the season, some people just follow it. They just follow it, just like a moth to a flame. They just go wherever the flame is. But guess what? Sometimes that's not the place to go. Sometimes that's not the place to be, right? Sometimes when a moth follows the light, they end up getting hit by a bug zapper. And so in some of these cases, it's a bug zapper. There's nothing wrong with saying, I believe in this guy and I believe in that guy, but why don't you believe in Kyle McCord? I do. I've watched him play. I've seen him out there. This dude is going to make a name for himself in the NFL. And if you're stupid enough to let him go out of the first round, which I think people are going to be, then he falls into the second, third, hopefully not the third day, which is round 4 through 7. Somebody's going to get a steal. Let's go to LaQuint Allen Jr. LaQuint Allen Jr., Seamus says that he should go to the Rams. Not a bad bet, Seamus. I looked at that one too. I do like it. I like the thought. Sean McVay, young guy, send him off to the West Coast. I believe Kyle McCord's 3-0 on the West Coast. Is he not? He's 3-0 on the West Coast this year. 3 and this many going toward the West. Beat UNLV at the Raiders Stadium. Beat in the DirecTV Holiday Bowl that I was at. Defeated Washington State. And then went to Cal and beat Cal at Cal Berkeley. So, 3-0 on the West Coast. Maybe the Rams should pay attention to that. Let's go to LaQuint Allen Jr. So we take a look at LaQuint Allen Jr. Now, LaQuint Allen, keep in mind, in the history of Syracuse, no one has caught more passes as a running back than LaQuint Allen Jr. in the history of Syracuse football. He passed my guy, Antoine Bailey. Shout out to LaQuint Allen Jr. By the way, the amount of yards he got on the ground this season, my birthday. That is not a coincidence. I've known LaQuint for a while. We've gotten to talk. We've had great conversations, and I would believe that we have some type of a bond. His numbers this year, his rushing yards, 1,021, 1021. My birthday, October 21st. So he is a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher. That didn't happen forever for Syracuse. It happened with Jerome Smith and almost a decade later with Sean Tucker. And then right after Sean Tucker, people said, what's Syracuse going to do without Tuck? And what happens? LaQuint Allen goes back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. 1,064 in the last season with Dino Babers and 1,021 in the first season with Fran Brown, averaging over 4 yards a carry both times and amounting 9 touchdowns in 2023 on the ground, 16 last year on the ground for Syracuse, adding 4 receiving touchdowns. So he had 20 touchdowns last season, 521 yards receiving, and 1,021 yards on the ground. The 521 were his most ever, eclipsing and going well beyond the 210 he had in 2023. So last season, he amounted, and he also was returning punts. So if we go back and we look at this, and that was in 2023 that he returned punts and whatnot, but last year in 2024, he had a total of 1,542 yards from scrimmage, 20 touchdowns. So LaQuint Allen Jr., that man, he better be picked in the first 2 days. I'm just saying. I know they let running backs kind of go down the chart and whatnot, but he needs to be picked within the first couple days of this draft. I would imagine he's a day 2 guy. I would imagine that's going to happen. I'm hoping that's going to happen. Now, Aronde Gadsden II, whose dad played for the Miami Dolphins, let's look at Aronde Gadsden, who decided to come back to Syracuse last year. He amounted 934 yards last year. After going out injured in 2023 and having 67 yards, he comes back and almost gets to 1,000. He is just shy of 1,000 yards. Officially, he was 66 yards shy of being a 1,000-yard receiver last year. 934 yards, 7 touchdowns. The year before he got injured, 969 yards. So he almost got to 1,000 yards 2 times in his time at Syracuse. And in those years where he had 900-plus receiving yards, he had at least 6 touchdowns both seasons. 6 in 2022 and 7 in 2024. So he's another guy that people got to look at. 6'5", over 230 pounds out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Maybe the Miami Dolphins go for the legacy and maybe they take him. Seamus said Allen will go higher than expected as well because he's a capable back, can catch and block out of the backfield. If he falls, it will not be because of talent. It'll be because of the demand for running backs are not as high in today's NFL. And I agree with that completely, Seamus. That's the thing that I'm thinking of, is that he should be a day 1 guy, but he's not going to be a day 1 guy because they don't take running backs like they used to. So that's why we don't see these running backs go as high anymore. Not that they shouldn't, not that he shouldn't, but it's just that they don't, because for some reason the NFL thinks that running backs are a dime a dozen, and I think that the Tennessee Titans found out that that wasn't true with Derrick Henry, letting him go, and I think that the Giants found that out with Saquon Barkley not being with them and now being a Super Bowl champion. Fadil Diggs, who came to Syracuse for a season. Let's look at how Fadil did. He was at Texas A&M from 2020 to 2023. In his best season at Texas A&M in 2023, he had 36 total tackles, 22 solo, 14 assisted, 2 passes defended, and 4 sacks. Coming to Syracuse, he did better. 45 total tackles, 27 solo tackles, 18 assisted tackles. He had 1 pass defended, but he had 7.5 sacks and a forced fumble for the first time in his career. So the most sacks he ever had were at Syracuse in one season. Forced fumble, finally got one at Syracuse. And total tackles, 45. Fadil Diggs, keep in mind, did not play in the DirecTV Holiday Bowl. So Fadil Diggs, a guy to look at on your defensive line and what he can do to get after the quarterback, making a name for himself. I'd like to see Fadil within the first 3 rounds. I think if he goes after that, he's a steal. Let's go to Marlowe Wax. Marlowe Wax Jr. does not get the credit that he deserves. This man has been with it for a long time. This man has busted his tail to be the linebacker that he is. He has worked his behind off. He deserves credit. Coming out of Baltimore, Maryland, the 6'1", 230-plus pounder in his time at Syracuse in 2023 had over 100 tackles, 108, 74 solo, 34 assisted, 2 passes defended, 4 sacks. Marlowe Wax, in his entire career at Syracuse, in 5 seasons, because keep in mind he had the COVID year, in 5 seasons, Marlowe Wax has never had less than 3 sacks a season. 3 in 2020, 7 in 2021, 4.5 in 2022, 4 in 2023, 4.5 in 2024. He has had a forced fumble in every season he has been in college. 1 in 2020. 2 in 21, 2 in 22, 4 in 23, 2 in 24. He's had an interception in each of the last 2 seasons. So think about that. He's had at least a forced fumble in every season he's been in college. He's gotten an interception, and he's never had less than 3 sacks a season. Marlowe Wax is a mother-freaking beast. I had to make sure that I reminded myself not to swear. Marlowe Wax, he'll probably fall. He'll probably drop, because people aren't giving him the credit he deserves. But he's another steal. Remember that 7th-round linebacker that was chosen, who's now the best tackler in the NFL? Zaire Franklin? Where'd he come from? Syracuse. Where'd he hail from? Marlowe Wax is from where? Baltimore, Maryland. Zaire Franklin? Where's his hometown, folks? Do you know where he hails from? Marlowe Wax, another guy here who also hails from, I believe, Baltimore, Maryland. So another guy that we can, oh, pardon me, Philadelphia, not too far away. Philly. I don't know why I thought he was Baltimore. Philadelphia. So another Northeast guy, another guy that played for Syracuse, another linebacker that got disrespected and then went into the NFL as a 7th rounder. I think Marlowe Wax can do better than the 7th round. Jackson Meeks. Let's go to Meeks. Let's go to Meeks here. Jackson Meeks spent 1 season at Syracuse after not being utilized that much when he was at Georgia. Let's take a look at Meeks and how he did. Jackson Meeks, in his 1 season at Syracuse, how many yards did he have? You talk about God being God. God being interesting and God being on time and God making connections. Syracuse is my hometown. I cover Jackson Meeks. I cover LaQuint Allen Jr. LaQuint Allen Jr.'s rushing yards, 1021, my birthday. Jackson Meeks' receiving yards, 1021 to the nose in the same year. 78 receptions, 1,021 yards, 7 touchdowns. Man went from getting a couple passes at Georgia each of the last 3 seasons to getting 78 at Syracuse, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. And I think there was more on the table. I think there was actually more on the table for Jackson Meeks. This man should find his way onto an NFL roster, especially with training camps carrying like 7 wide receivers, some of them carrying 8 or 9. So I'd like to see Jackson Meeks out there. Let's go to Justin Barron. Justin Barron's a guy that I feel like people forget about, and you shouldn't. So let's go to Justin Barron and let's discuss what Mr. Barron has done. This linebacker, hailing from Rocky Hill, Connecticut, looking at what he's done at Syracuse, also in 5 seasons because he had the COVID year, didn't really do much in his first season, but then he came in 2021 and he was out there on the field. This man has been asked to be a defensive back, a linebacker, and essentially a rover or star or whatever you want to call it, which is a hybrid linebacker DB. The NFL is looking at him at linebacker. This is what he's done. Tackles from 2021, 42, then 62, then 89, then 88. He has had almost 90 total tackles in the last 2 seasons at Syracuse. And in those seasons, over 50 of them each season were solo. Passes defended, 3 last season, 6 the season before. He had 2 sacks this season. He had a half a sack the season before and a sack before that. In 2023, he forced 3 fumbles, and he's gotten an interception in each of the last 2 seasons. A guy who has posted almost 90 tackles and almost 50 and over 50 of his own in those 2 seasons, the last 2 seasons, plus having passes defended, plus having a sack on the board for himself, a half a sack in 2023, 2 this season, and grabbing interceptions in each of the last 2 seasons. Justin Barron is another guy that we cannot forget about, we cannot overlook. Justin Barron has proven, and the NFL should be looking at this, when his buddy, his good friend Marlo Wax Jr. went down, Justin Barron had to shift. He had to shift, and I believe him and I talked about it. I think it was less than a week they asked him to shift from DB to linebacker. Justin Barron with more time would probably look even better. This is a guy who is a utility belt. He can play different positions for you. He's proven he can be worthy to your defense. He's proven he can tackle. He's proven he can make a name for himself, and his versatility should get him an NFL job. Josh Alawa is trying to figure out what he's doing. Played center for Syracuse, played guard as well, but he's coming off injury. So I'm hoping that everything will work out in his favor because I know that he's worked very, very hard, and I don't want him to be overlooked by any stretch of the imagination. But the Josh Alawa piece of this thing, as he gets better and as he rehabs here, I look forward to seeing what he's going to do. Maybe it's coaching, maybe it's playing, but I hope that whatever it is, Josh Alawa is happy. You can watch our special, which we got to do together, to really get to know about him, what he's about, his culture, his family. Amazing story. I got to do a story with Marlo Wax. I got to do a story with Justin Barron. I got to do one with Josh Alawa, and I also got to do one with Kyle McCord. And you could see all those, and I'm going to be reposting them on our social media. So you can watch all those on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. If you go simply to the Syracuse football playlist on our YouTube channel, you can see it all there. So before we hop out of here, I do want to make a note of other guys that are going in to this NFL draft. So if we go back and we take a look at where things are at and who is moving forward here, we have to look at, and there's a bunch of there's guys that are obviously staying at Syracuse and whatnot, trying to figure things out. Clarence Lewis, who spent a season at Syracuse, he came over from Notre Dame. Let's look at cornerback Clarence Lewis, because this is a guy, his teammates gave him some credit and showed him some love. Defensive back going into the NFL draft. He's at the top of the screen here when we show the draftees, and he is number 3 here at the top of the screen. Clarence Lewis, taking a look at his numbers, 4 seasons at Notre Dame, including the COVID year, 1 season at Syracuse. In his season at Syracuse, 37 total tackles, 27 solo, 10 assisted, 12 passes defended. He's had an interception in all 4 of the last 4 seasons here. The only one he didn't was in 2020. He had an interception in 21, 22, 23, and 24. And in 23, he was injured, still got an interception, and that was a return for a touchdown, 33 yards. So he has a pick 6 in his career. He has 3 forced fumbles. He's also gotten a sack in his time. Clarence Lewis, a guy to look at who came from Notre Dame and then went on to Syracuse, and we got to see what he can do there. He had, in all of his seasons except for his injured season, including the COVID year, In all of the seasons except for the season where he was injured, he had at least 29 total tackles, and he's had 33, 53, 29, and then after his injured year, he had 37 at Syracuse, as I had mentioned before. His passes defended, 7, 4, 4, 3, and 12 when he was at Syracuse. So Clarence Lewis, I want to make a note about him as well. Beyond that, we take a look at Cinco Clark, Elijah Clark, who wears number 5. Elijah Cinco Clark. We have a Cinco Cisco, who went on to the NFL and was a steal in the 3rd round for the Jacksonville Jaguars and has now found his way to the Jets. We look at Elijah Clark, who played safety for Syracuse. Let's take a look at Elijah's numbers. Elijah was at Rutgers in 2021. Then he transferred to Syracuse. In 2022, 52 total tackles, 29 solo, 23 assisted. 23, 64 tackles, 36 solo, 28 assisted. In 2024, 59 total tackles, 36 solo, 23 assisted. Passes defended in those years, 2, 3, and last year, 4. He has a forced fumble in his career, and he got an interception last year with Syracuse. So in his time at Syracuse, he's had 50-plus total tackles every season and around 30, if not more than 30, solo tackles of those 50 plus. Elijah Clark, another guy to look at in this year's NFL draft. So a lot of players coming out for Syracuse, a lot of opportunities for the Orange to do what they need to do here as they step forward. And I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it very much so as this team looks to make a name for itself once again in the NFL draft. People forget about the NFL draft and how many times a Syracuse name has been read. I have friends who have been read in this NFL draft with the likes of Floyd Little, with the likes of course, Rob Drummond, and guys in recent history as well that I've been very excited to hear their names and see their opportunities. So a lot of guys here, you've seen them up on the screen, and looking forward to seeing what they're going to do in this season's NFL draft here for 2025, which is happening in a little bit over 48 hours on Thursday, April 24th. It'll be Thursday, the 24th, which is round 1, Friday, the 25th, which is rounds 2 and 3, and Saturday, the 26th, which is rounds 4 through 7, 32 NFL franchises looking to take these guys. Everyone, I hope, gets a chance somewhere, gets a phone call somewhere, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back here inside the Great Lakes Honda Studios on Wake Up Call right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicolli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicolli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicolli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. Welcome here to a very special Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora broadcast from inside of the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They are your home for your next new and or used vehicle. You will find the Honda Pilot, the Ridgeline, the Passport, the Civic, the Accord, the HRV, my favorite, the CRV, right there on site on location, and you can find out more by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Here in this Bearcat Breakroom in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Binghamton University Bearcats, I'm back here with Binghamton Bearcats men's tennis head coach. And you know, we've gotten to talk, and whenever we talk, good things happen. So I feel like we should talk more often because that good energy just flows back and forth between Nick, Zieziula, and myself. So we're not talking to the one-time NEC champs. They've been in the NEC for 2 years, and they've been champions both times. Going into the NEC tournament, winning it last season, going into the NEC tournament, winning it this season. So 100% of the time that men's tennis is in the NEC, they win titles. So with that being said, Mr. Zieziula, how are we doing?
Excellent. Thanks, Dan, for having me on. Always great to chat with you, and definitely great to be chatting with you again after a championship.
Yeah, and the first time you and I talked, I was down in my second home, the great state of Florida, and I remember where I was sitting and broadcasting and talking with you about that. Going back to that moment to this moment, how sweet has it been? I mean, you and I were talking about what you're doing with the program, what your ideas are, your thoughts are. We spent like an hour just kind of breaking down everything on your mind, and now we're sitting here talking about two-time champions. So going back to that conversation, what do you remember? What do you recall? Because you're obviously doing a heck of a job with you and your staff and your student athletes.
Yeah, it was fun chatting last year after the championship, but each year is its own journey, and its own twists and turns, and has its own story to tell. Even in a year where we returned 8 of our 9 guys and all of our starters from last year were back. But last year I told the guys the quote that the same man can't step into the same river twice. And I started telling them that even last year, that things are going to change. You're going to have different classes. You're going to have different pressures inside the court, outside the court. There's going to be different expectations on yourself and from other people. And tennis is a game where, we all in life want our development to be in a straight line going up. But we forget that development is messy, and learning is messy in anything. And we take 2 steps forward, and we take 3 steps back, and take a couple forward and fall backwards, and it's all over the place. And so I think the guys did a good job of dealing with that this year, and not getting themselves too down or too frustrated when some of the results didn't go the way that we would have thought they would have, given the experience of the roster and what we had accomplished last year. There were some matches early on in the year that got away from us that none of us would have predicted would have gone that way. Yeah. And while the guys were frustrated with that, they just channeled that into working hard and being ready at the end of the year.
Yeah, when we look at last year to this year, and we will talk about this at length, but I want to go back to something that you said, because and I know there's no notebooks in this studio. I don't write down and say, this is what I'm asking Nick, and that's it. Like, I listen to what you have to say, and that's how I've been for years in my broadcasting world. You said the same man can't step in the same river twice. I want to break that down a little bit deeper and get your thoughts on what that means to you and why you use that analogy.
Yeah, I think we're always developing and growing as individuals, and you can face similar situations, but the context of the challenges that you face are always different as well. We played St. Francis, and I was asked this down at after the match about what we brought forward from last year. We played St. Francis in the finals last year. We played them in the opening round this year. The 2 different teams, the conditions are different. It wasn't as windy this year as it was last year. Who's riding momentum, all those contexts of the challenges were different, even though a lot of the same faces were there and a lot of the same shirts were there. Yeah. But just the context of where everybody is at in life. And so it was something that I had started to stress to the guys last year, of enjoying the opportunity when we were headed down to Columbia for the first round of the NCAA tournament, and saying, you can't take anything for granted that, well, just because we have the same guys coming back, that we're going to get the same results and everything's going to be the same. You never know who's going to get injured, things that are going to happen outside of the court that have nothing to do with tennis or injuries. And so I was glad that we started that last year, and then was something that we brought back and reflected on this year. And I think that also helped to take pressure off of the guys that, just because you're the same starting lineup doesn't mean that you're starting matches up a break or up 1-0 or anything like that, that doesn't impact the scoreboard. You got to go back to work each day and start all over again.
Yeah, and you said something that was extremely insightful. You said, just because the team is back, just because, my starters are my starters, you're going to be taking different classes. You're going to have different things affecting you, right? Somebody could be going to a match, and last year they were dating somebody and it was all good. This year, in the middle of the season, they break up the day before a match. So, you're talking about things that make that people don't talk about. There could be breakups, there could be deaths in the family, there could be a class that's really getting on this student athlete. This could be just a time period in their life where they feel a little bit confused. Maybe they're not sleeping as much, and maybe they're not eating right. Maybe they got sick right before the season, and it's kind of like had ripple effects of catching up type of things. That's such a big thing for you to say to them, and it's such an important thing to say that, last April and this April, your life is not the same. Something's going to happen that's going to challenge you that might have nothing to do with tennis. How have you seen your student athletes respond to that? I know you guys won an NEC title, but in general, going throughout this season, currently at 13 and 11, how have you seen them respond to the fact that life is life and they're going to go through things that they didn't go through last year?
Yeah, I think one of the things I was most proud of is that at the just before the tournament, we were down in New Jersey, and our captain, one of our captains, Will Benny, said to the team, it's great that we're going in as the 4 seed. There's no expectations on us. There's no pressure on us. We just got to go out and take care of our fundamentals and do the things that we know we need to do to play good tennis. And I hadn't said that. I hadn't put that in his ear, aside from kind of our general messaging that we've been putting into the guys. But he articulated that, right before the tournament. And, so that to me said a lot about what the team was absorbing and how the team was processing what we were throwing at them, that they had internalized that, hey, at the end of the day, whatever happened yesterday or last month or last year is done. Today we got this in front of us, and this is our challenge. This is our task. And we're going to go about it, trying to take it down using our principles, on and off court of how we want to play, how we want to be in the world, and be as a team. And so when that was coming from the team, I felt really good about where we were at, going into the tournament.
Yeah. When we look at the tournament last year, to go back to that first NEC title here with Nick Zieziula in this edition of the Bearcat Breakroom, in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Last year, you had in the quarters, you had Stonehill, you won 4-0, and that was the 8 seed. Then you had Lemoyne, the 5 seed, you beat 4-1, and then you had St. Francis that you defeated 4-1 in the championship, who was the 3 seed, to win it all in West Windsor, New Jersey, in your first season in the NEC, and at that time, a record of 16-9. What is it about last season? Because I know last season's this last season and this season's this season, but what did you take with you from last season and utilize? Because you were champions last year. It was not the expectation that you were going to be champions last year. And you went into the NCAA tournament after getting your bid from the NEC and faced off against Michigan. What do you take from that season and going through the NEC? And like you said, you're returning all these guys who knew what it took to go from round to round and systematically find a way to win. So they had done it before. It doesn't mean they're going to do it again, but the experience had to have meant something from last year.
Yeah, I think the tricky part for us is that the expectation, regardless from anybody else, was internally that we would win the tournament and that we would be on the top, both last year and this year. And that's something that I use as a positive with the guys, that look, from Gene, from our administration, from the school, the expectation is that they've put us in a position to win. We need to go out and execute and do those things.
Yeah.
And in some ways, when that expectation is clear, then it's very nice and easy to just forget about it and just say, okay, the outcome, we know where we need to get as the outcome. And so the only thing that really matters to focus on is what we need to do day in and day out. I think specifically from last year's tournament and with returning a lot of the guys, one of the things that was helpful to bring forward was that belief. We did not play good doubles last year in the tournament. It was a very different tournament. We played Stonehill. They had already played a match that day. They had to beat Wagner early in the morning, and then we played them late at night on the same day.
Yeah.
So that's a huge disadvantage for Stonehill to come into that match a couple hours into being on court already. So we won the doubles point in that match, but then lost the doubles point to Lemoyne in the semis, and lost the doubles point in the finals to St. Francis. And so going through that at the tournament and realizing that we want to be focused, we want to try to take the doubles point, but ultimately if we lose that, it's 1 point. We just need to keep moving forward, use that 5 minutes in between to get ourselves ready for the next. And so that experience definitely came through this year. We did not play great doubles. Again, this year, we were very tight and sloppy against St. Francis, and St. Francis, to their credit, played very well and took advantage of the opportunities and the openings that we gave them. But you could see in the body language, the guys' facial expressions at the end of that doubles point, that it was just like, okay, next. Coach Ellis is fond of saying that, just next, what's next? And you're always looking forward instead of looking behind you. We played better doubles in the semifinals against FDU, but came up short in the tiebreaker to not take that one. And I think that was a good step in the right direction for us. Then on against LIU, we were able to play, not excellent doubles because we were sloppy at 3, but at 1 and 2 they did a great job of taking care of business.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, learning things from last year and then putting them into this season. When you got to this season and you were right ahead of the NEC tournament, this season featured a 3-match winning streak at Marist, at St. Bonnie's, and at Mercyhurst, and then a 3-match losing streak at Bucknell, and then FDU and LIU at home before defeating Lemoyne. Bring me into that Lemoyne match on April 11th and what that did for the team to stop the skid right before the tournament.
Yeah, I think the thing that we try to, and I sometimes struggle with this, but we try to do with the guys is to not get into connecting the matches too much.
Yeah.
This too shall pass. You win a couple matches in a row, that's great, but the next match you go out, it still starts at 0-0. There's no bonus points. There's no home court advantage. The match in front of you is the match in front of you, and that's it. And the great part about that is that works too when you're losing. Okay, we lost last week. Personnel was shifted, doubles teams were shifted, whatever. That doesn't matter. What's behind us is behind us. What's in front of us is the match that we have at hand. So I think the guys did a good job with that this semester and not getting too caught up in, riding. We had some good matches early in the year. We had some poor matches along the way, but especially at the end of the semester, I think they were taking each match as it came. And we knew that, like FDU ultimately came down to a tiebreaker on 5. We played for several hours, and that's a couple swings of the racket one way or the other. But we talked about that as well, that a couple swings of the racket the other way for FDU, and we could have lost that match 6-1. Will was down in his third set. Andre was down in his third set. Kyle was down big in his third set. We ended up getting 2 of the 3 of those, but not inconceivable that we could have lost all those and really gotten kind of blown out in our own building. So we tried to cut that both ways in terms of, hey, we won a match, we lost a match. Who's next? Have we done our scouting reports? Have we watched our video? Are we set with our game plans and ready to go? And if we can answer yes to all that, great. We'll be as ready as we can be. And if we can't answer yes to all those, then we got to get to work on those items.
Well, and as you work through the season, like you said, it wasn't really what you anticipated, and it wasn't necessarily starting out the way that you had thought. And I know you had faced, when it comes to out of conference, the likes of St. John's, Colgate, BYU, Bucknell, Army, Princeton. Looking at the schedule, St. Bonnie's, there was a lot on this schedule that had to be exciting to go up against and also challenging. And like you said, we put ourselves in a place to be successful. Gene Marshall puts us in a place to be successful as our athletic director. whatever people think on the outside, our expectation is to win. What did you learn from the non-conference schedule that you had that you feel can not only help you throughout the season, but can help you now as you get set for the NCAAs?
Yeah, I think that the biggest one for us is we had the opportunity to play BYU at home. And at the time, BYU was not ranked. Now, final scoreboard was 6-1, but we lost in 3 sets at line 1. We won in straight sets at line 2. Andre, I think, was at 3 that match, lost 4-4. We had Johnny step in off the bench, go 3 sets at 6. And Kyle went 3 sets at 4 or 5, wherever he was on that day. I think he was at 4. So a couple weeks later, BYU, with basically the same lineup, goes and beats number 11 UCF. So we were talking about that today, that, like, guys, no idea who we're going to play yet. We're likely going to draw a top 16 team, although the way the draw went last year, we ended up not having to play a host school and not playing a top 16 team. So you don't really know for sure.
Yeah.
But we'll play somebody in the top 32 nationally. But that's the level that we played, and we were toe-to-toe with them. So we've been trying to lean into that. We leaned into that all year, that, like, when we really show up and we play and execute the way that we can execute, and we bring the type of energy and volume to the match that we can, we're going to put ourselves in positions to win against and take points against very good teams, no matter how highly ranked they are. So we're excited about that. We played, a similar St. John's, probably be a 3 seed at their site, and scoreboard wise wasn't great, but I mean, doubles, and I think Roney lost in the tiebreak. I mean, we were right there on a lot of courts against some very good tennis this year. So I think we had a lot, as much as our overall win-loss record was a little bit disappointing. I think we gave ourselves a lot of examples to look at and say, hey, we can hold our own against some really good teams, and we got a lot to believe in.
Yeah, and you definitely have held your own this season. I do want to make a note of this before we jump into rapid fire with Nick Zieziula. There's been multiple student athletes that have been here on Wake Up Call inside of the Bearcat Breakroom in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University. Andrew, Ronan, as well as William have all been on the broadcast. What can you say to this group that you have, to these student athletes? I've gotten to know them. I've gotten to know their personalities. I love the fact that I'm looking at this roster and there's multiple people that I was able to cheer on and hope the best for last year, and now, to see them have success again this year. But what is it like to have this group? And if there's something to say about William, Ronan, and Andrew and how they've exemplified what you want this team to be, because, like I said, I've been able to spend some time with them, but I'd love to get your angle.
Yeah, this was a great year in terms of the team really had to take ownership of a lot of stuff. I was out. We had our baby boy Francis born in January, so I was away from the team for a while, and I owe a lot to Coach Charlie Ellis for getting the year started in January on the right foot and being sure that the guys were on top of things. But there were a couple other things that came up during the semester, and Coach Ellis was away from the team for a little bit, and internally the team really had to step up, and our captains and Will and Kyle did a great job of staying on top of the guys and being sure that it wasn't just coming from me or the coaching staff about doing a little extra and watching the film and doing their match evals and getting things set. So we had good scouting reports, and we were ready for our matches later in the season. Andrew, and we talked about after the match, and Andrew was one of the guys, but James and Jonathan as well. We had a lot of rotating lineup situations at the back, and we had some situations where it wasn't immediately obvious as to who should be in. If you looked at the stats, you could parse it one way. If you looked at a couple other stats, you could parse it another way. And the team really played with no ego. Our grad assistant last year, Luke Carney, said ego is the enemy of gratitude. And, we kept coming back to that this year, and that those guys were really able to put themselves aside. I mean, last year, James was our 4th point in the finals for the championship, and he didn't play in the singles lineup this year. And that's a hard thing for any student athlete to do, especially in tennis where you grow up and it's an individual sport and it's just individual. And man, on the first day he was called the coach, and he filled that role and did a great job coaching. On the second day and the third day, it was just being volume on the sideline, playing his doubles, and then being loud during the singles. And he did a great job being on top of that. His doubles play was huge. The doubles point in the finals, we needed that. But there's so many little examples like that. The same with Andrew. Just sometimes he was in the lineup, sometimes he was out. But if he was on the sidelines, he was the loudest guy in the building. And you could hear him back on campus from up on top of the hill at Lane Stark. And the guys really bought into playing for each other and taking care of stuff and not waiting for me or for Coach Ellis to say, hey, here's what you need to be doing. But they took the initiative within themselves. So it's been a real pleasure to coach this group. We're going to miss Zubin and Kyle when they graduate, but we're going to enjoy this last couple weeks together, however far we go.
Yeah, last year you had the opportunity to face off against Michigan. This year we will see at the beginning of May, but to get to the NCAAs, you went through the NEC Championship, this time going up against number 5 St. Francis, winning 4-3, then number 1 in the tournament, FDU, defeating them 4-1, and in the championship, number 3 LIU, defeating them 4-2 back at West Windsor, New Jersey. Your takeaways from the Mercer County Tennis Center this season and this story that will continue in the NCAA?
Yeah, I'm proud of the guys. FDU had a great team this year. In particular, they're well coached, and they went up on a tough road trip, and they won at Lemoyne late night Friday, which is a tough place to play and win. And then on the heels of that, finishing sometime after midnight, came down and beat us the next day. So they were doing some great things. St. Francis was a tough one with their move to D3. I think a lot of those guys were, kind of in their last hurrah, fighting for their final opportunities at the D1 level. And LIU, Coach Chad has done a really good job down there. He's battled a lot of stuff on court and off court, and so he really brings that passion into his guys. So some tough matches for the guys, but they came prepared and happy to be going on to the NCAA tournament. And we're going to see, we got a lot of experience back from last year against Michigan. I thought we did excellent in the doubles. I think we felt like we were in a position where we could have won that doubles point. We had 4-2 and points for a 5-2 lead at number 1 against number 18 team in the country. One service break difference at 3. I don't think any of us were happy with our singles performance last year. I thought we fought hard, but execution was not there, and Michigan kind of rolled us in the singles. But with a lot of those same guys coming back and that experience in the back of the head of being able to feel comfortable on that stage, I'm excited to see what we can do and battle and put ourselves in a good position.
I can't believe it's been a year, but an incredible year it's been to be right back in the NCAAs, and I'm very happy for you, Nick, for your staff, and for all these student athletes, for Gene Marshall and Binghamton as a whole. Jumping into rapid fire, you get to ask me the first question. Fire when ready.
How was your Easter weekend?
It was good. It was really good. To me, Nick, it's not about me. It's about God, and it's about God every day. And so when it is about me, I have to check myself and remember, because I kind of, I'm not gonna say I went into this Easter feeling great. There's been a lot of stuff that's kind of weighed on my soul, weighed on my heart, weighed on my mind, and I've been letting it get me down. I'm letting it kind of suffocate me. And my mom and my dad were like, "You're so much better than that. Like you've learned." And so Easter was about looking at Jesus and saying, "You rose from the dead. You did the impossible. You're always been there for me. you've always found ways to show me I matter. You, in a sea full of billions of people, you always do things that make me feel like it's just for me. So today, can I put down the fact that I'm a little upset, I'm a little disappointed, and I'm a little hurt? And can I focus on the fact that it's not about me? And so I think, Easter has been a reflection for me to get myself right, get my mind right, get myself in check, and to remember, if God is for me, what does it matter who's against me? So I think I really needed to hit that reset button, kind of hit that gong, and remember that though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil because thou art with me. So I'm going to throw it back to you in a faith sense and say, what is it about your faith that has challenged you the most, but also been most rewarding?
I think that's ultimately where a lot of my emphasis with the team on gratitude has come from in my faith, and that sense of everything is a blessing. It's just how you look at it, and if you can take your selfishness and I want something to go this way, I prefer that this to happen. If you can take that away and just focus on the opportunity that something presents, even though it might not be the thing that you would have chosen. And it's been a great blessing to really focus on that and meditate on that and think about that. But it's also been a challenge that when things aren't going the way that you want them to be able to say, okay, what's the opportunity? What's the blessing here that I'm getting without maybe thinking about it or understanding it right now?
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly. One of my prayers I say to God, Nick, all the time, and I have to stick to it, is guide me toward where you want me, guard me from where you don't, and your will over my want. Because if it's in your will, nothing can stop it. If it's not in your will, everything will stop it. And it's that reality of sometimes I want something to happen, but when something doesn't happen and every excuse in the book is made for it to not happen, that's my answer. Because if something's going to happen and it's meant to happen, then nothing will stop it from happening. People go after what they want. People do what they want. And right, wrong, or indifferent, if somebody cares about something, they're going to go after it. And if they don't, they won't. And it's been one of the most difficult things in life, be it in business, friendship, romance, any of that, to realize that if you stand still, that which is for you will run toward you. That which is not will run away. And it's not your job to chase it. I think that's one of the hardest things to learn in life. It's Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. Stand where you are, and if it comes towards you, it's from me. If it runs away from you, it's not. And, I think in my life, I chased down a lot of friendships. I chased down a lot of things that were dead ends. And reflecting on it, I kind of asked myself, would I accept my children chasing down that behavior? And if that answer is no, then why did I chase it? So I think in life it's just the reality of knowing that God will tell you where to go. And it's not that he doesn't tell you, it's that we don't always like the answer. Because we'll go, God, tell us. And then he'll keep telling you. And you'll go, yeah, but tell me. And he's like, I'm telling you. You just don't want to hear it. And I think that I've had to learn the very tough lesson of when God puts the gavel down, the case is over. There's no hung jury. There's no let's try it again. The case is done. And he's always got my best interest in mind. And I have to trust that. So that's been a big learning thing, Nick.
Yep.
What's your last question for me?
Revisit last year, Rochester against Syracuse, right? We got opening round AHL playoffs. Who's your pick?
I mean, Syracuse is my hometown. And I want the best for them always. Rochester, I got to be a part of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 that filmed there. So Rochester will always have a warm place in my heart. But I'm a Syracuse man. So I got to lean where I lean. And that's where I'm at, man. I mean, my hometown, my city's got me. And upstate New York, not just my city, but, you know, I feel the love in Binghamton. I feel the love in all different parts of New York. And so I'm going to root for Syracuse and Rochester always. But if it's anybody against my hometown, that's hard. However, when Lavelle Sanders, if he goes up against Syracuse, or if I see Mary Grimes go up against Syracuse, well, you know. so you know. But yeah, I mean, in this situation in hockey, let's go Cuse. My final question for you: if you took over my show for a day, what 3 people would you interview? And what would be the one question that you asked me before you took it over? So what's the question that if you could only ask me one question before you sat in my chair, what would that question be? And then what 3 people would be on the show?
I think my key is opening is just business. I got to know where's the revenue coming from, so I know how not to screw it up and keep the show rolling. And my 3 guests, I'm going. We're trying to hunt down Andre Agassi, one of my all-time favorites. Watching as a kid, I'm probably I'm just going with what I'm interested in. So I'm going probably Roditi from TCU, head men's tennis coach, who's done a phenomenal job out there in so many different ways that he promotes the program and winning a national championship last year. And then, you know what? I'm going hockey. I want to get Terry Pagula on, and I want to grill him about what the Sabres are doing with the GM position and see if we can figure out ending the playoff drought.
Okay. I like it. I respect it. Some tennis, some hockey, and I'm guessing the Sabres are your team?
Yeah.
So, all right, fair enough. With that being said, I want to thank you, Nick. It's always hard to say goodbye. I don't say goodbye. I always say see you. For those that know me, I never say goodbye because goodbye is finite. But for Nick Zieziula, I cannot thank you enough, Nick. I always love talking to you. It's just fun. You got a good spirit around you and you got good energy. I hope people tell you that because I sense it. But, you're easy to root for and you're just really kind and you're very giving of your time. So I want to say thank you for that first and foremost. I want to congratulate you and the team on being back-to-back NEC champions. I'm not surprised because I know Binghamton's emphasis on greatness and emphasis on pushing yourselves beyond what other people may say, that you know inside of you that you can accomplish anything. So I think in the classroom and on the courts and so on and so forth, Binghamton is something special. So I respect it. I appreciate it. But beyond everything, I just want to say thank you for honestly treating me like a friend from the first time we talked when I was down in Florida. And not everybody can be genuine like that and open like that, but you are. And I want to say thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Really appreciate what you do for Binghamton Athletics. Love connecting with you and talking with you, and look forward to doing it sooner rather than later again.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where He just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business. I had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there's something about owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York, to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There's a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience. It's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really change the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allow customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servomation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machine, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machine. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. And in a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I could tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be at the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. You will find everything that you need at GG Cards and Breaks, from singles, packs, boxes, graded cards, RPAs, which is a rookie patch, auto. You could find a one of one, and they're the only place that I know that has every MLB, every NBA, and every NFL team. That's 92 franchises on their back wall. So whoever you're a fan of, you will find something for yourself at GG Cards and Breaks. They also have Disney Lorcana, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and Magic the Gathering, and they have all the supplies you need, the binders, the sleeves, the all different size top loaders, one-touch cases, boxes, and more. GG Cards and Breaks, the place where you can walk in having never bought a card before and walk out like you've been doing it for 20 years. Be a big kid, fan the flame of that kid spirit, no matter how old you are, and go have fun at GG Cards and Breaks. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6, and on Sundays from 10 to 5 on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, it is now time for us to get into the ingredients to success. This segment comes to you every single Tuesday, proudly presented by the wonderful team at Avicolli's. Avicolli's is located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road, and it's down the street from Liverpool High School. You can see the high school from Avicolli's if you stand at the light. And we have our monthly broadcasts with the Liverpool student athletes, coaches, and administration right there at Avicolli's. So Liverpool High School, down the street from Avicolli's, Liverpool Show, right at Avicolli's, because they're your neighborhood partner. So I'm happy to be there. Today's topic for the ingredients to success is one that's really important to me, and it's something that I've had to learn over time, and I'm still learning. When two become one. When two people decide to become one, right? It's something that we often forget in relationships, right? Because we think about, well, I'm going to do what I want to do, and they're going to do what they want to do. You can't get into a relationship selfish. You can't get into a relationship thinking it's all about you. When you get into a relationship, you have to get into a relationship knowing that it's about the both of you. It's something that has to come with the both of you. A relationship cannot survive with two selfish people. It can't survive with one selfish person. Because in a relationship, it's give and take. It's not take, take, take. I've been there. I've been there. When somebody gives and somebody takes. And when you're in a relationship that is one-sided, when it's only about one person's views, one person's wants, one person's needs, one person's thoughts, one person's feelings, no matter how selfless the other person is, they will come to a point where they just feel hollow. Because in a relationship, when two become one, you are giving of your tank, essentially, right? You give of your fuel tank, you give some energy to your partner, but then they also give it back. May not be at the same time. You might give to them Monday morning at 10 a.m. They might give back to you Tuesday at 3. But if you're not giving back to your partner that's giving to you, that partner that is giving to you that you're not giving back to will eventually run out of energy. They will be spent. You know, in a relationship, I was always taught by my grandparents, my parents, of what you need to do, how you need to respect the other person. You know, my mom taught me that as a man, just because other men in society think women are supposed to clean up after them and cook for them and pick up all their dirty laundry off the floor, and, you know, they're going to do the laundry, they're going to do the dishes, they're going to make the food, they're going to take care of the kids, they're going to make the lunches, and da-da-da-da-da. My mom taught me the opposite. My mom said, as a man, know how to cook. As a man, know how to wash your clothes. As a man, know how to wash the dishes. As a man, know how to take care of the house. My mom taught me that at a really young age. I was washing dishes when I was like 10 years old and I could barely see over the sink. But my mom was teaching me. She was teaching me that you clean up after yourself. You pick up after yourself. You don't expect somebody else to do that. You know, and I have friends that are single. I have friends that are married. I have friends that are dating. And I pay attention to their relationships. I pay attention to the dynamic. You know, one of them is a really good parent. The other one wants to go out and club and party and show up in the middle of the night. That's not going to work. One of them takes them to soccer practice. The other one takes them to doctor's appointments. That's going to work. I mean, obviously there's other things that go into it, but you get my example. You know, I never thought I was going to be the dad that was going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and take somebody to school. But I've been in relationships where, you know, you date someone who has kids and you care so much for that person that you're getting up hours before you would normally get up at home to help out because you want their life to be easier. And you don't do it to get something back. You do it because you feel like it's the right thing to do. And, you know, I love to give. I'm such a giver. I really enjoy it. Like on Christmas, I enjoy giving more than receiving gifts. I mean, I forget what I got I don't even remember what I got this Christmas from people, but you remember what you give. You remember when you get together and you do something nice for somebody. I remember what I got James, and I remember why I got it. You know, I remember what I got Isaac. And I think that when we give, you know, it's, to me, it's such a beautiful thing. And in any relationship, romance, friendship, business, family, you really have to think about what you're doing, and you have to be cognizant of what others are doing. Because when you are a giver, when you like to do for others, and I love that. I love seeing other people happy. I love writing you a note that makes you cry happy tears. I love doing something that makes you laugh and makes you smile. I love when you're having a bad day and I can get you to laugh. Like if someone's really down in the dumps and I can help them get happy, I can help them laugh, I can help them get through it. Like I love that. I love that they let me in, and I love that they give me the opportunity to make them smile. That means a lot to me because not everybody's going to let you in. No matter what you do, they're going to stay closed. And so, you know, I genuinely love to give. And when you love to give and you're willing to buy groceries and you're willing to meal prep and you're willing to make dinner and you're willing to pick people up and you're willing to drop people off and you're willing to run around and make sure the house is taken care of and you clean up the house and, you know, the dog rips open a toy and you clean up all the pieces that have been on the ground for days, you know, and you make the bed and you wipe down the counter and you wash the dishes. You don't do any of that stuff and say, guess what? I did it. You know, I didn't have somebody come home and say, guess what, babe? I washed all the dishes. Guess what, babe? I cleaned up all the dog stuffing that came out of the toy for the dog. I cleaned all that stuff up. Guess what, babe? I, you know, put all your laundry over here, or I wiped this down. I don't say that. Most of the time, I don't say anything. I just do it because I think to myself, and this is how I've always been with my mom, with somebody I'm dating, with my dad, with a friend, with a roommate. If you can come home and you can see something little I did, and it can put a smile on your face that you had a long day, and, you know, thanks for helping me out. I had a really long day, and I'm happy you washed the dishes. I had a really long day. Thanks for the back rub. I had a really long day. Thanks for taking out the trash. And, you know, you look back on things and say, like, I never told somebody that I was dating like 98% of the stuff that I did because I didn't do it to get a pat on the back. I did it because I wanted her life to be better. I heard her needs. I heard her wants. I heard her desires. And I sought to give her something she doesn't have. I sought to show her I'm listening, that I care, that I value her, and that I want her to know that with me in her life, things will only get better, not worse. And when you lead that way, You have the opportunity of becoming one, but you both have to do it, you know? And so, you know, she'll fold my clothes, do my laundry. I don't ask for her to do my laundry. Never ask for her to do my laundry. Never ask for her to fold my clothes. Never ask for her to carry my clothes. And, you know, I'm so used to doing my own laundry because my mom taught me when I was 18 and going off to college. And since then, I'm 39 now, you know, over 20 years of doing my own laundry. I don't expect people to do anything. And that's just not my mentality. My mentality is not like, oh, you're going to do my laundry, because I wasn't raised that way. So if someone does those things for me, if someone is nice enough to, you know, take Lily for a walk, you know, I know my mom will like go take Lily out for a walk, and that always means something to me. And my mom said, hey, when you're out of town, I'm going to walk Lily, and we're going to make sure that we do it a lot. And I appreciate those moments. You know, when my dad is like, hey, you know, I took the dog outside, I was working in the yard, you know, put her on the leash, had her just sit there with me, and, you know, she got to lay in the sun and enjoy her time outside while I got to work, but we got to be together. You know, she wasn't stuck in the house. When you're a giver, life is so much more rewarding, because you're trying to take the goodness in your heart and you're trying to give it to somebody else. And when two become one, which is today's topic for the Ingredients to Success presented by Avicolli's, when two become one, you both have to give. You might do the dishes, she might do your laundry. You might pick up the kids from school. She might rub the back of your head while you're doing it, you know, let you know that she appreciates you. So, you know, I think we've all been through stuff in life, and I think in today's world, it's so easy to be very selfish, especially when you haven't had something in your life. You know, I remember when I was married, there was a lot of things that I didn't have in the relationship, and I felt really hollow. So when I got out of the relationship, I sought to get the things I didn't have. But I had to be very conscientious of the fact that as much as I wanted certain things, I had to give them. I couldn't be like, well, she never rubbed my back, so now you need to rub my back if you want to be my girlfriend, but then I don't rub her back. That's not fair. And I think when I look back on some relationships, I went from a bad relationship to a good relationship. And when I went from bad to good, the things that I was doing in the bad relationship, like the rubbing the back and picking you up and this and that, I wasn't doing those in the good one. I was like, no, I want you to do those for me. But you have to remember that the things you didn't get in a previous relationship don't mean that you don't give those in a current one. You know, I think so many times they say a good man or a good woman will meet a good man or a good woman, but because they've been treated so poorly, by the time they meet a good partner, they are so jaded that they won't even see it. They're so mad that they won't even see it. They're so focused on getting everything that they never had that they won't even see it. And I think when you step into a relationship, it's important for you both to tell your wants and needs, but you have to give. You can't be in a successful, healthy relationship if you look across the table and say, here's the 10 things I never got in a relationship. Give me all these things, period. You have to be willing to give them back. You know, anything that I give or anything that I receive, I intend to give. If I ask for it, then I intend to give it back. If I say to somebody, hey, I want you to text me. I want you to call me. I mean, not even text. I want you to call me. I don't want you to text me. I mean, you can text me if you want to when you're at work, but I want you to call me. When you're free and you're not working and you're not like at church or or at like the doctor's office, and pick up the phone and call me. Call me. Let me hear your voice. FaceTime me. Let me see your face. If I can't physically be in front of you, let me be the closest I can be, which is to hear your voice and or to see your face. If I can't see you and I can't be with you and I'm not in your presence right now, don't text me. Don't text me. You know, my friends, my brothers, we call each other. We might text here and there, but we call each other. We talk on the phone for hours. And, you know, my mom and my dad, we might text here and there, but we call each other every day. And, you know, that means something to me. When I'm out of town and Lily's with my parents, I'll FaceTime Lily, or they'll FaceTime me. So I could just see her. Because Lily can't text me, even though she is really good at hitting the phone and really good at hitting buttons. And according to my dad, she FaceTimed me about a week or so ago. My dad was on the phone with me, and she hit the FaceTime on the phone and turned it on, and he was laughing at the fact that she did that. Apparently she wanted to see her dad. But you have to be willing to give what you ask for. Yeah, I had somebody tell me once, I want so much in this relationship, and you want so much, and we want the same things, and we've never had them. So I don't know if this relationship's going to work out because you're seeking what I'm seeking, and we're both waiting for somebody to give it to us. So who's going to do it? I saw it glass half full, not glass half empty. I said, if we're both looking for the same things that we never had, then we understand each other more than you know. And if we both want the same things, then this relationship should be easier than the other ones because we don't have to anticipate what the other person wants. We want similar things, so we just do it. I guess her fear was, if I want a back rub and you want a back rub, then I'm waiting for it and you're waiting for it. No. You give a back rub and you hope you get one in return. See, relationships are not supposed to be two people in an old Western movie that got their backs to each other, and they walk 3 paces, turn around, and hold out their guns and wait to see who fires first. This isn't a standoff. You know, people that are together, that are compatible, should want the same things, right? If one person's intimate and the other person's not, it's not going to work out. If one person wants to have kids and the other person doesn't, it's not going to work out. If one person doesn't want to work and the other person doesn't want the burden of having to work for everybody, it's not going to work. You know, so many times if you had conversations on your first date with a girl or a guy, you would be able to know really quickly, like, is this going to work or not? You know, I've dated people that are like, I don't believe in God, I hate God. Well, God is my everything. I don't know what I had in my brain outside of being lonely that made me think that that relationship was going to work out, because the thing that's most important to me is least important to them. You have to think about that. What if one person wants kids and the other person already has kids? But the person that wants kids gets around those kids and then says to themselves, I've always wanted kids, but I can see myself being in this family. I can see myself being a father, not to your kids, but to our kids, that one day these children would call me dad. You know, I've seen that with people. I've seen that with my older brother. You know, he always wanted to be a dad, always wanted to have his own kids. Then he met somebody, fell in love with her. She fell in love with him. She has 2 kids. He fell in love with the kids. And it means something to him. So that can happen. People can adjust. Sometimes people get together, one of them wants kids, one of them doesn't, and then all of a sudden that person does, and you end up having kids. I have a friend who never wanted to be a mother, never wanted to take care of children. Her first marriage, married a guy with 2 kids. Her second marriage, married a guy and had children with him. Never wanted to be a mother, never wanted to take care of kids, never wanted it, and she did both. She was a mother to kids that were already alive, and then she became a mother to children that she bore out of her own body. And she's a fantastic mother. So love does some really interesting things with us. When you fall in love with the right person, you adjust. And not that you get rid of your morals and values, but you adjust to maybe things you weren't thinking before. And you give opportunities maybe where they weren't before. So I think the important thing to remember in life is when two become one, and don't date for sport. Don't date because you're lonely. Don't date because you want to get some. Don't date because you want somebody to tell you that you're pretty or that you're great, or you just don't want to go to the movies alone, or because you want someone to pay for your dinner. Don't date because of that. Date because you care. Date because it matters to you. Date because you really honestly believe this person could be it for you. And yeah, it's going to take time to figure that out. Is there love at first sight, or love at first touch, love at first glance? Yeah, I do believe in that now more than ever. But it takes time, but you have to be open to it. I didn't date anybody for 3.5 years. I went out on dates. I attempted to date, but I never asked anybody to be my girlfriend because I wasn't in it, she wasn't in it, or I just didn't know. And that 3.5 years time flew by. Here I am thinking I couldn't go 10 minutes, but I go 3.5 years and I learned a lot about myself. So when I did see something that had potential, when I did see something that was good, potentially, that had something that I wanted, when I felt something, I paid attention to it. And I think that when we're dating, you should really only be dating with an effort to find your right person. And if you believe you did and they believe they did, then you have to work on becoming one. One unit. You're not going to always agree, but there's a difference between fighting and having a disagreement. A disagreement, you're not calling each other names. You're not swearing at each other. You're not screaming at each other. That's a fight. In a disagreement, you're saying, this is where I am. They're saying, this is where I am. And you're saying, okay, let's figure it out. And I'm not saying it doesn't get heated. I'm not saying people don't get frustrated. But I learned in relationships to not call people names. And I didn't do that. In my most recent relationship, I didn't do that. I did not call them a name. I didn't pick up the phone and call them a name. I didn't call them a name to their face. I didn't text them and say, this is what you are. And that was learning for me. Because normally when people would provoke me and push me, I would say something I didn't mean. Now, did I still say things I didn't mean at times? Yeah. Was it anywhere near what I've done in the past? No. And that's the other thing about people is they don't know what you were. Somebody might see something in you and go, oh man, when they argue with me, I really don't like this. But you don't know that they've come 90% in the right direction. That you saw 10% of the bad, but they used to be 100% bad. They used to fly off the handle. They used to do this and that. You know, you date a girl and you think, wow, she was really mean to me just now. But you have no idea how she used to speak in the past. And she's trying, and she had a moment. But that's when you have to look at relationships and say, did somebody say one thing at one time and then show me different the whole relationship? Did this person in a moment of weakness and frustration say something stupid or mean? But on the normal, on the regular, they're loving me. They're there for me. They're there for my kids. They're there for me. They care about my job. They care about my career. They care about my life. They care about my health. Because when I look at things, and that's the thing, is the older we get, the more experiences we have, and the more that we either have to share with people or we choose not to. But when two people come together, they're coming together with all of their baggage, unless they've gotten rid of it. Now, I have let go of a lot of my baggage. I used to go to the airport with 72 bags. I was going to weigh the whole plane down. Nobody was going to be able to get on the plane except for me, if even I could get on with all the luggage. But now those 72 bags might be 5 bags. And so I'm dating somebody, and she looks at me and goes, look at these 5 bags of baggage. And I say, yeah, I got rid of 67 of them. Will you help me unpack these final 5? And I read something recently about relationships where they said both people come into the relationship with some type of baggage. And if you're in a good relationship, you help each other unpack it. You just unpack it together. And that really moved me because it didn't say that a good relationship is absent of baggage. It says that a good relationship, it's not that a good relationship is absent of baggage. It's that a good relationship will work through it. And I think when people are so used to having bad relationships, they don't really know how to have a good one. And so it's easier for them to push away a good person than to attempt to have a good relationship. It's far easier to look for a problem in somebody and get rid of that person than it is to work it out. When you're in a bad relationship, and I could speak from experience here, when you're in a when you have a series of not great relationships, when you meet a really good person, you don't want to believe it, and you will create chaos, right? You were cheated on, you were hit, you were lied to, you were disrespected in the last 4 relationships. So here comes relationship 5. In relationship 5, she doesn't do any of those things. But because you're so used to it, you are checking her phone. You're following her to work. I'm giving examples here. I didn't follow anybody to work. But it's like you're checking her phone. You're following her to work. You're paying attention to every word she says. You're asking her about your past or about her past. You're questioning the people she works with, the people she hangs out with. Why are you friends with this person on Facebook? Because you're trying to create chaos because that's what you're used to. Somebody told me that a long time ago. Someone who has relationships that have chaos will seek chaos in a good relationship. And it's crazy because I had chaos in relationships, and so I was looking for a relationship without chaos. I had so much chaos, and all I wanted was to find a woman where there was no chaos. But because all I had experienced was chaos, that's what I anticipated, and that's what I expected. So it's crazy how you actually create the thing you don't want. You're in 4 relationships that are chaotic. The 5th person comes along and they're calm, and you try to make chaos because it's all you know. So I've been on the other side of that. I've been on the other side of a woman telling me all I've had is bad. All I've ever had is bad. Liars, cheaters, stealers, people that waste my time. And so this is something that you have to think about. Like in that relationship, they said, all I've had is bad. All I've ever had is bad. I'm used to bad. And I say, okay, well, I'm not going to bring that to you. Okay. I said, the only way that I'll walk out of this relationship is if you treat me really poorly consistently. Like if you're just mean and you're hateful and you're negative, then I'm out. But besides that, I'm here. I'm going to hang out. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here with you because I want to be here with you. But if you choose to be really mean, if you choose to nitpick, if you choose to pull me apart and try to find something wrong with me, and if you constantly make me feel like I'm not doing enough or saying enough or being enough, then yes, I'm going to walk away because I don't want somebody to take my good nature and my kindness and treat it poorly. So that's something that I look to. You know, that's something that I definitely look to. I look to my life and I say to myself, if I'm going to be in a relationship, I want to be in a relationship with somebody that treats me well. And I will say this to you, And I know that that sounds normal, but a lot of us settle in relationships where we're not treated well. And even on my worst day, I'm going to treat you well. I might say something crass. I might say something stupid. I might say something in the moment because you're fighting with me and I'm sick and tired of fighting. But then 5 minutes later when you need me, I'm right there. I'm right there. And, you know, that's something that I can say in a relationship is you could be fighting with me, laying in bed, you go to sleep, you're ignoring me. You wake up in the middle of the night, you had a bad dream, I'm right there. You wake up in the night, you don't feel good, I'm right there. I mean, but that's me. I'm the type of person where you could be really rude to me and I'm not going to accept that behavior and I'm not going to promote that behavior. But if you're really mean to me and then you hit your leg and fall on the ground and you're bleeding, I'm going to come over to you. I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to bring you over to the sink or wherever we are. I'm going to wash it off and I'm going to find a Band-Aid or I'm going to get a napkin or I'm going to do something so that we can stop the bleeding and you can be okay. But that's me. A lot of people take advantage of that because they say, if I hurt him and then I need him, he's going to be there. If I hurt him and then I fake an injury, he's going to be there. Like if you're in a fight with me and you yell at me and you disrespect me, I'll just go silent. If I go silent and the next move you make is not to apologize, but it's to be like, oh my gosh, I have a headache, then it's like, okay, instead of apologizing to him, now after I hurt him and I disrespected him and treated him like I didn't want to be treated, now I'm going to force him to take care of me because I know that he will. That's why you have to find people that will value who you are. Because two cannot become one if one person fights with you and then they end the fight by pretending something's wrong, by faking an injury, by changing the subject. People have to own up to the things that they do. And I found in any relationship, nobody likes to hear they're wrong. Nobody likes to be sat down and told that they did something wrong at any age. But you have to be willing to admit it or you're going to fail. You're going to fail in any relationship. You will not succeed in relationships in life. It doesn't matter how many people you try to date. You could bounce from person to person to person to person. Going from person to person doesn't change your problems. This is what people don't understand. When you bring baggage into a relationship and then you blame the other person and you get rid of them and you say, nah, it's not me who's the problem. It's not me who's creating this. It's them. They just can't handle me. Then you're going to go to the next person and you're going to bring all your baggage and the next person and the next person. Before you know it, now instead of losing that one good person, now maybe you've lost 5 good people. And you got nothing to show for it. See, they say that people always miss what they don't have. They don't care about what they have until it's gone. And the unfortunate to that is I've experienced how true that is. That people will be willing to lose something good and then reach out to it years later. And I'm not the guy you can reach out to years later. I'm the guy that wants you to figure it out now. You may not figure it out in a day. You may not figure it out in a week. But if you let me go and then you go date a bunch of people and then you go, oh man, after making love to all these people and kissing all these people and going on trips with all these people, I realized I love you. No, too late. Because to me, you had middle pieces, right? 2 cannot become 1 when you put 3, 4, 5, and 6 in between us. I've had people call me 15 years later, 11 years later, reach out. A few months later, right? What are you doing, Dan? What are you up to? I want to work it out. 6 months later, I want to work it out. I don't want the person that's willing to let me go. I want the person that is willing to see the error of their ways and work it out. I can come to the table and say where I'm wrong. I don't wait for people to do that. This is what I did. I'm not proud of it. I wasn't proud of it the moment I did it. But if you want to be forgiven, you have to forgive. If you want to be understood, you have to seek to understand. If you want to have somebody work with you through the baggage that you have to work through theirs. If you want somebody to be there for you at your weakest moments, you have to be there for them in their weakest. If you want someone to throw their arms around you when you tell them to leave, you have to be willing to do that when they try to go. We cannot exist in relationships where we tell someone, you have to, you have to, you have to, and then they don't. And I will tell you this, when somebody tells you to leave, go. When someone says they want to be with somebody else, go. When somebody says that they want you to be with somebody else, go. Just go. Because if they don't mean it, they need not say it. And they best stop saying it, ask for forgiveness, and get right. Because I've given people an opportunity in the fight of the moment where somebody said something really mean to me about going and finding somebody else. And then I've said, okay, you know what? That really hurt me. And they said, no, I meant it. I'm definitely going to do it. I don't care. I want to do it. So if you can tell somebody this exact thing is hurting me, when you say this to me, when you type it to me, it literally puts a spear through my stomach. And you tell somebody that and they go, cool. And they push the spear in farther, leave. Because chances are when you hurt that person, they want an apology. But when they hurt you, they will not apologize. No one should ask for an apology that's not willing to give one. Nobody should want you to be wrong if they can't admit that they are. The reality of life is, at some point in your life, the truth hits you. Do you want the truth to hit you while you still have a fighting chance to make right on your wrongs? Or do you want the truth to hit you years down the road when those people are gone, those situations are gone, that opportunity is gone, and you're just stuck? So you learned your lesson, but you learned it way too late. People in the world are so apt to tell us when we're wrong. It's become a very easy thing for people to tell you when you have screwed up. But they won't say it about themselves. They won't hold themselves accountable. They won't answer to that. They will tell you when you're wrong. They will tell you when you've let them down. They will tell you what you've said that's hurt them and what you've done that's hurt them. But they're not going to tell you when they're wrong. And those people have to understand that you will lose everything good in your life until you learn to give what you ask for. Two cannot become one when one person is concerned with themselves and the other person is concerned with the both of them. I've learned in relationships that there's a lot of things that I want, but I have to listen to my partner too. Because if she says to me, hey, when I'm in the car, put your hand on my leg, hold my hand, do something to let me know you're here. If I say in my head, well, I did that for my last 10 girlfriends and they didn't appreciate it, and I'm not doing it for number 11, now she's going to suffer because of them. That's not fair. Reverse it. I've dated men that have hurt me. I've dated men that have treated me poorly, that have said mean things to me, that have disrespected me. I'm only used to fighting. So then she gets in an argument with you. She pushes your buttons. You say something and she goes, well, you're like all the rest of them. See you later. But you're not like the rest of them. She tried to make you that. And in a moment of weakness, she saw something in the past. See, you can't bring past stuff into a relationship unless you're willing to unpack it together. You can tell somebody, hey, this is how, and if you have the wherewithal to tell someone, I'm going to push you away. If you have the wherewithal to do that, then you also have the wherewithal to not do it. If you can teach yourself to be vocal and tell someone, hey, one of my biggest flaws is that I will push you away because I don't believe anything good is going to come to me, then they should also be working on not pushing you away. Because no matter how many, no matter how many times somebody tells you, when I push you away, don't leave, after they tell you to leave and they tell you to date someone else and they want to date someone else and they say it and they say it and they say it, it doesn't matter how much you love them. That hurts you so deep, and you start to question yourself because they're telling you to leave, but they said that it doesn't mean to leave, but they're still saying it. And I'm the type of person where if you tell me to leave, I'm going to leave, because I stayed in relationships way too long when I should have known better. So if somebody tells me leave, why would I stay? And then they blame you. Well, why'd you walk away from me? You told me to. If you don't want me to do something, don't say it. You know what I mean? Don't say it. I've said really stupid things in fights that I didn't want the other person to do. And then they'll hold that against you. Well, you told me to do it, so now I can do it. Now I can go sin because you told me I can. That's not how life works. Okay? If a woman told me in the fit of a fight, why don't you just just find someone and be intimate with them? Just go be intimate with them. Go be a scumbag. Go find somebody, be intimate. I wouldn't do it because I'm not a scumbag. Even if they told me to, that's not me. Now, if I tell someone to do it and they go do that, they are a scumbag because you told me to. No, you used me as an excuse to go do what you're going to do anyways. If it's that easy, then it's your decision. If it's that easy, then you've already made up your mind. See, in a relationship, if you really love someone, you might say mean things, you might have moments, but you're going to make up for it. Some people don't stick around to watch you make up for it. Some people don't stick around to watch you do right. Now, there are offenses that you cannot come back from, in my opinion. If you cheat on each other, it's done. If you hit each other, it's done. There's certain things that you can't come back from. You put your hands on each other or you cheat on each other. No. And cheating on each other is not just the ultimate act. Cheating on each other is texting another person, seeking a relationship, and of any kind. So going on a dating app, texting your old booty call, whatever it may be. But see, people don't want to fight for each other anymore. They just want to run. They want to prove to themselves this is just another bad guy. This is just another bad girl. They spend a month in a relationship, they're gone. They spend 2 months, they're gone. Nothing lasts because they don't want it to. And they'll tell themselves it didn't last because this person did this to me or said this to me. But in actuality, it didn't last because you were looking for something. You were looking for a problem. Because if you know someone's a good person, you don't let them go. If you know someone is the difference, you don't let them go. When you know that you're around a good soul and you're attracted to that soul and you love that soul and you care about that soul, you get your crap together. Because if you don't, you will lose that soul and you will not find another one like it. When you wait your whole life for something good and you find it and you spit on it, you can't look up at God and say, send me another one. You just spit on it. When those job opportunities come up, I want to be a screenwriter, I want to be a screenwriter, I want to be a screenwriter. And you keep writing screenplay and nobody cares. You think nobody cares. And all of a sudden somebody goes, hey, I work in Hollywood. I'm a director. What do you do? Well, I'm a screenwriter. Well, you have anything to show me? You better have a script ready. Because the problem with life is we ask God for things all the time, but we're never ready for them. We say to God, send me an opportunity. Send me the job that I want. Send me an open door in my career. Send me the person of my dreams. Send me the person that's going to love me forever. But then when they get there, when the opportunity gets there, you're not ready for it. You can't start a relationship off telling someone, I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to push you away, I'm going to do all these things to you, and you need to just deal with it. You need to deal with my abuse because eventually, hopefully, it's going to go away. No. If you're pushing me away, that's from your past. Leave it there. If you want a chaotic relationship, that's from your past. Leave it there. If you expect me to fail, that's from your past relationship. Leave it there. If you nitpick because you're trying to find something wrong with me, that's from your past. Leave it there. If you enter into a relationship expecting it to be bad at some point, not believing it'll ever be good, you will make it bad. Trust me. I've been on the side of it where someone has made me bad, and I've been on the side of it where I've made somebody else bad because you've dedicated yourself to believing that that's all it's ever going to be. People make mistakes. Hurt people have moments of strife. But I cannot stress this enough. If you ever intend for two to become one, which is the only healthy relationship to have, you have to be willing to forgive, to understand, to go through the baggage that's left, and to work it out. You cannot say the words, I love you, and then push somebody away and leave. If you love them, you hold on. You two might both be wrong, or one of you may be wrong. It don't matter. If you care, you do something about it. Because putting someone you love in purgatory is not love. Making somebody hurt because they hurt you is not love. Love does not seek to pay you back. It does not seek to play games. It does not seek to even the score. It does not seek to attack you because it was attacked. Hate does that. Negativity does that. Hurt people do that. When you see what I do, if somebody's fighting with me and we go to bed, I can't go to bed angry. So I'll get out of the bed. If they refuse to touch me, look at me, give me a kiss goodnight, or tell me they love me, I will get out of bed and I will go sit somewhere else. Not because I'm a jerk, but because I refuse to lay next to someone who doesn't respect me and won't show me love. If you love me, then love me. There's no fight that should be bigger than the relationship. Ever. No fight. And if it is, then you ain't got a relationship. So I will remove myself from a volatile situation and I'll go sit somewhere. Not to be a jerk, not to make you chase me, but because I refuse to lay next to someone I love dearly and have their back turned to me. I won't do it. And you have to know well enough about yourself to know the lines that you draw. Your things that are non-negotiables, right? You cheat on me, you're dead to me. That's it. You cheat on me, you don't exist. I don't wish bad on you, you just don't exist. You lie to me, we might talk about it one time. Depends on what the lie is. If you push and you push and you push and you push and you push me, you're asking me to have the self-control that you don't have. You're asking me to not call you a name after you just called me a name. You're asking me to not swear at you after you just swore at me. You're asking me not to hurt you after you just hurt me. You're asking me not to make a stupid comment in the heat of the moment when you just made a stupid comment in the heat of the moment. People have to backtrack and look at, what did I say and what did I do before the person did or said something that hurt me? You have to look at what happened before. Wow, this person really hurt me because they said something mean. But what did you say to them right before that? Well, I said something mean. Okay. Well, then you have responsibility for that fight. It's not just them. If you leave someone because they reacted to your bad behavior, they reacted to your bad behavior. Why did you create the problem? Why did you create the fight? That person was totally fine, in bliss, happy to be with you. You struck them, they struck you back. And you left because they struck you back. But where is the onus on the fact that you struck them first? I always look at a situation and say to myself, okay, what this person did in response wasn't good, but what was done before? You know, they look at that Ray Rice video and they're like, Ray Rice punched that girl in the face that he was dating. But then there was stuff that came out where allegedly she called him the N-word and maybe spit on him before he did it. Should he have hit her? Never. But why did nobody talk about the fact that she called him the N-word and spit on him? If that actually was true, do you understand how much self-control he has to have in that moment? I've been spit on. When you get spit on, you are in a place that I don't wish anybody to be in. I have been spit on. Okay? One of my friends had been spit on, and he's like the nicest guy in the world. When he got spit on during a football game, he turned around and full-blown extended his arm and punched this guy right in the helmet. And people look at him and say, why is he being a jerk? He got spit on. I'm not saying he should have hit him. But if that person that spits on you says, well, you hit me, so now we can't be friends. You hit me, I don't respect you now. You spit on me. You were asking for me to do something. Whether or not I do something does not take away the fact that you pushed me to, that you wanted me to, that you provoked me to. I'm not going to hit somebody because that's not me. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to in the moment. If you're talking to me some kind of way, I have the self-control. Somebody else may not. You disrespect me in a bar and you say something stupid to me, I might walk away. The next person you say that to might knock you on the ground. But the person should realize what they said was wrong to both of us. See, when people say mean things and they do mean things, they expect us to just walk away. They expect us to just accept it. But that's not fair. It's not fair to poke and prod someone who loves you and then get mad when they finally react. I don't like reacting. I don't like being upset. But I can promise you that if somebody continuously pushes me and is rude to me and disrespectful to me and makes me feel like less than them, less of a person, that I'm not equal to them, that I'm not enough for them, that I'm not good enough, that I don't do enough, that I don't say enough, I will eventually just have a moment where I'm going to be either really mad or really sad or both. And I feel like people have to understand in life, you have to look at how you talk to people and how you treat people, not just how they talk to you and how they treat you. And you have to look at the chronological order of things, the sequence of events. This person was mean to me, I was mean to them. What happened first? Because if you were mean to them first, then no matter what they said or did, you still owe them an apology. A real one. So, the one thing I could tell you about when two become one, you got to stop fighting with each other. You have to stop living in the past. You have to stop expecting bad. And when you are in a peaceful relationship, do not create chaos. If you create chaos, do not complain about the tornado that comes from it. Because if you are in a relationship and you create fight or flight, you create chaos, you create confusion, you will eventually get it. And you can't be mad at that person when they give it to you. You can't be mad at that person when they give it to you. Because that's reality. That is absolute reality. People will eventually treat you the way that you treat them. So if you're looking at a good person, trying to figure out how a good person treated you poorly, look at how you treated them right before. If you want two to become one, you have to be willing to give what you ask for, you have to be willing to care, and you have to be willing to try to be better than the person that you used to be. And you cannot hold anyone accountable for past bosses, employees, boyfriends, girlfriends, friends, family members, neighbors, strangers. When you meet someone and they treat you well, give them the opportunity to show you that they truly are different. If you're going to expect the worst out of everyone, don't talk to anybody, don't date anybody, don't look at anybody, don't be friends with anybody. If you live your life constantly expecting people to let you down, they will. If you live your life constantly trying to find something wrong with someone, you will. And you will turn away good, genuine, wonderful people because you can't get out of your own way. If you want to learn the ingredients to success for having relationships where two become one, you have to be willing to leave your past in the past. You have to be willing to drop your sword, stop fighting, see the error of your ways, apologize when you're wrong. Don't just focus on when they're wrong. When you're wrong, be wrong. Don't wait for them to ask for an apology. Give them an apology and stop screwing up. Stop making your past relationships, past treatment and excuse for your behavior. Your current behavior in your present life is in your control. Don't blame your mom. Don't blame your dad. Don't blame your brother, your sister, your boyfriend, your girl. The way you treat people is the way that you treat people. You have been through stuff, and that might affect you. But the way you choose to treat someone is the way that you choose to treat them. Stop blaming them or anybody else for your behavior. Because if you've been abused your whole life and then you abuse someone else, now you're the abuser. You can't blame being abused on abusing other people because now you've become the enemy. Okay? My ex-wife used to treat me some kind of way. We broke up. I got in a relationship. I started treating somebody else that kind of way. I can't blame my ex-wife. I can't. Because when she did it, I was appalled. So when I did it, I had to be equally as appalled, if not more. That I allowed myself to go to a level that is far beneath what I would accept. If you want to have good relationships, you have to be a good person. If you want success, you have to be willing to work through the punches. If you want somebody to treat you well, you need to treat them well. You cannot ask for what you do not give. And if you want to be in any relationship in life, two are meant to become one, and two cannot become one if one is dug their feet in quicksand. They will eventually drown, and they will be holding on to the other person trying to bring you under. Do not ever hold the hand of someone who's in quicksand unless they're trying to get out and you're trying to get them out. If they're pulling you down, let go. Let go. Someone that's drowning is either going to seek to pull somebody down to drown with them, or they're going to seek someone to help them get out of the water. Be in relationships with people that may be drowning, but want your help to not drown, not the ones that are going to pull you down and drown you both. It's not a relationship. It's a death sentence. Be kind to each other. Be good to each other. These are the ingredients to success, proudly presented by Avicolli's. With that being said, thanks for tuning in on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Of course, you can find us also on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Big time thanks to the Brooklyn Pickle. From New York to North Carolina, you will find the amazing sandwiches that we've been spoiled to have up here in upstate New York, now down in the great state of North Carolina, by simply going to 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina, and that is where you will find the Brooklyn Pickle, right by Pinehurst Golf Course on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Let them know that DT sent you. And North Carolina, you now have no excuse. Your food is that much better now that you have the Brooklyn Pickle in your neighborhood. And a big time thanks to our team of partners in Central and Upstate New York, Great Lakes Honda City, as well as Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, Avicolli's, Servomation, Mother's Cupboard, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, and Brian's Landing. Of course, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Dolphins every Wednesday during Dolphin time at 9 a.m. Eastern time. And, of course, you'll find them on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find the Lemoyne playlist. The Dolphins are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com. And, as always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats every month in the Bobcat Buzz, with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni joining me to tell the story of the amazing national champion Bobcats. They've won in women's and men's soccer. They've competed for national championships in men's and women's basketball as well. You'll find the Bobcats on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find the BSC Syracuse playlist. You'll also find the Bobcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bearcats every Tuesday like today during Bearcat Time at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You will find your Bearcats, and you can find all of our wonderful shows with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find the Binghamton playlist. The Bearcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, I want to thank you for tuning into this edition of Wake Up Call inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, talking Syracuse in the 2025 NFL Draft. Nick Zieziula speaking on the Binghamton Bearcats men's tennis program that is now back-to-back champions in the NEC, going to the NCAA tournament in back-to-back seasons in their first 2 seasons in the NEC, and of course the ingredients to success presented by the wonderful team at Avicolli's. For lunch, dinner, and drinks, head 7 days a week to 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, right down the street from Liverpool High School, where we have our monthly Liverpool broadcast. We look forward to seeing you at Avicolli's. And, of course, many thanks to all of the teams, the student athletes, the coaches, and administration with Liverpool and the Liverpool Central School District. Today's topic for the ingredients to success: when 2 become 1. So many thanks to all of that. I do want to make a note here because Christopher John sent us some things here. He said, think Saquon Barkley is responsible for changing the outlook of how impactful one running back can be to a room or to a team. I agree that Saquon has to do with the argument, but I think other running backs have done that as well, and I think Derrick Henry did it last year. Christopher John also said, LaQuinn Allen Jr. is a more dynamic running back than people give him credit for. He can catch the ball just as good as he runs, and he can block, which is what Seamus says. So insightful words here from the people that are watching and listening. I appreciate you watching and listening. Every single broadcast of Wake Up Call up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the world. Have a beautiful day. Facebook, find us there at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. And as always, I say this to you: God bless. No stress. Do your best. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. We'll talk soon.